Hey, what's good, family? Peace, peace, peace. Sending you all so much love, so much care, so much compassion, so much joy in this season. Peace, right? Peace, peace, peace. The year now is 2022, y'all. It has been 2 years and some change as it relates to this pandemic. Right. There's so much going on around the world, around the globe, around the planet. And in this season, y'all, in this season of 2022, I want us to remember that it is the year of peace on purpose. Peace on purpose. See, when you have a purpose about you, when you have a vision about you, when you have some things you've been called to do in this life, you act in an intentional way. You act in an authentic way. You do the work that your soul must have. And so now it's time to remember the promise, meaning it's time to put the promise back together again. Some of us have been dismembered by the trauma in our lives. Some of us have forgotten the faithfulness of God because of how some pastors and some people and some church leaders and some church folk has shown up, or maybe somebody in the mosque or somebody in the temple has shown up in a foul way. And so you felt disconnected from God. But I want to tell you something. In this year of 2022, we have got peace on purpose, and that peace is available to all of us, no matter what we look like, no matter what we think like, no matter what we're built like, no matter what we feel like, no matter what we feel like. I noticed that a lot of people in this season are having issues around their bodies and the beauty of their bodies. Do you understand? We are literally spirits in a meat suit, spirits in flesh. Do you know how priceless that is, that you made it this far? Not only did the conception happen, not only did that magical, mysterious moment happen all those years ago, but literally, you've been spared from accidents. You've been spared from health conditions. You've been spared from abuse. You've been spared from trauma. You've been spared from some predators that have come your way to destroy you and hurt you and harm you. And so in this year of 2022, it is time to remember the promise. Part of that is falling back in love with this body, falling back in love with this flesh, falling back in love with your health and wellness and wholeness. That means we've got to restructure some things, family. It means we've got to start eating a little lighter, family. It means we've got to start pumping some herbs and some vitamins and some minerals, really some minerals back into our bodies so that we can access higher levels of consciousness, right? Our ability to think, our ability to assess, our ability to process, our ability to show up for ourselves. And so if we think about structure, not only do we have to remember the process around our bodies, we must remember the process around our mind and piecing the pieces of our mind back together again. You see, when things happen to us, when we feel things, when emotions are elicited, when triggers happen, when we're unaware of the triggers and how we react normally, we are unable to give a response. So for me, right? I often say to my clients, to my congregants, to my friends, to those around me, right? That are around me. I let them know that I don't give advice. I give my life. So for a long time, I was walking around being triggered moment by moment based off of the disappointments I experienced as a child with my parents at about 8, 9, 10 years old. So with that information, I was able to start piecing my mind back together, my mind that had been fragmented in certain ways. And I often think about we struggle in adulthood based off of attention, this word attention, based off of the attention we received or did not receive. And in theological study, they talk about sins of commission and omission, co, right? Those things that you do, those things that you do participate in, can be a sin. And those things that you withhold and don't do can also be categorized as a sin. So how many of you that are watching this right now, or watching the replay or coming back to this, how many of you have sinned against yourself by not remembering how to piece your mind back together again? If we're talking about consciousness, if we're talking about critical thinking, if we're talking about being able to assess and process this life, you have been sinning against yourself by not taking care of your mental health. All right, family, we're remembering the promises. In order to remember the promise in 2022, we've got to remember the process. So we talked about the body falling back in love with this flesh. It don't make no sense. I got this green eyes and I got this C4, C3, whatever category of hair it is, that I'm only 5'1" and my dad is 6'2". Like, it don't make no sense. At 75 pounds, soaking, dripping wet with tubes coming out of my body, and fluids being put in so that I could live and remove toxicities. And that happened for 2 years. And somehow I am still alive and did not die. Somehow my mind didn't do a 1-2 and say, ooh, time to check out of here because the burdens of this life are just too much. That didn't happen, family, because I had to remember the promise and remember the process of falling back in love with my body, falling back in love with my mind, and remembering that if I can't quite get to happiness, if I can't quite access my joy on today, at least let me be content with the fact that I got some food. Let me be content the fact that I got some water and some tea. Let me be content with the fact that I got some beats on my head. Let me be content with the fact that I've got fruit in the refrigerator. It's time to tap into contentment, family. Sometimes we put this high, tall order on happiness and joy, and even our energy being at 100%. Well, let me tell you this, based off of my intersection, based off of who I am, based off of some things that I have recovered from, my energy ain't at 100% all the damn time. If we gonna keep it real, okay? If we're gonna keep it real. So now let me tell you what it is time for. It is time to remember your spirit. Remember your spirit. I remember growing up, they used to call it the spirit man. I used to be like, wait, where he at? I got the spirit man, me? But let me tell you this, family, as I got a little older, as I went to seminary for 4 years, yes, I studied to show myself approved while these pastors are out here spitting and doing all types of disgusting things from the pulpit, disgracing the pulpit. the place where you go to minister and speak life and pour into people, while people are out here doing this and making millions of dollars and selling millions of books. I sit in my room to study myself approved. I read my books, I read my word, right? Because I got to remember my spirit. I've got to remember my spirit man, as they used to say back in the day. You've got to remember the holy, WHOLLY spirit, the Holy Spirit. It will give you that reality of contentment, because you'll wake up in the morning and say, oh my goodness, the sun is shining. What a beautiful day. You'll wake up and say, oh my God, there isn't a drought anymore in California because some some water came our way. You'll give thanks that even though that volcano happened in the middle of the ocean, a tsunami did not come and take you over, because God said that he would never send the waters to destroy us ever again. It's time to remember the promise. You've got some desires in your heart that spirit is trying to pull out and get out and intercede so that you could live into the fullness of who you are. Spirit is trying to say, remember the promise. Remember that joy from when you were a child so that you can live into the fullness of the dream and access paradise in this life. Look, family, Spirit told me to hop on and go live, to tell you that God has not forgotten you, that great Spirit has not forgotten you, that the great Comforter lives within you, interceding, giving you visions and dreams and cultivating these visions so that you can live into them in 2022. Now is not the time to look back. Now is not the time to give up. I know, family, we are hankering and hungering for that new normal. But let me tell you something, that new normal is not upon us. I am declaring paradise in this life. Paradise in this life. The psychics are saying April that the COVID is going to be done. Some people are saying that in 2024 it's going to be done. Other people are saying we may never get rid of COVID. But one thing that I learned while I was living with chronic kidney disease for those 2 years, family, is that I had to remember myself, remember my body, remember the pieces of my mind that had been fragmented due to all of those traumatic experiences that I was going through, literally on dialysis, going into the clinic for 4 hours and watching people go into respiratory distress. I can't think of the word, cardiac arrest, and never seeing that person again on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday at the dialysis clinic. Well, let me tell you something, family. While I mourned the lives of those people that I met, I also had to tap into deep gratitude for the ways that my blood was flowing, for the ways that no infections had consumed my body, for the ways that I was sustaining and being restored so that I could be strong enough to receive my transplant. I am a miracle, a walking, talking, breathing, dancing miracle. And I want that for your life too. I want you to feel it, family. I want you to heal it, family. I want you to heal it, family, to feel it, family, so that you can remember the promises. Remember the promises and the desires of your beautiful hearts. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. May your heart be beautiful. May your life be beautiful. May you see beauty when you look in the mirror. May beauty be reflected back to you by all of those community members you hold near and dear. May you always remember the promises of God. God has not forgotten you. I have not forgotten you. Peace, love, and joy, family. 2022, the year of peace on purpose.